Chairman Jennifer Whitman.
Here.
Vice Chairman Bridget Peterson.
Here.
Commissioner Anthony Bianchi.
Here.
Commissioner Chad Fuller.
Here.
Commissioner Joshua Ayler.
Here.
Commissioner Bob Steiger.
Here.
Commissioner Christopher Sipple.
Here.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to approval of the agenda.
Chairman, I move to approve the amended agenda that we were handed this evening. Is that good?
I think that's good.
Okay.
And hopefully everybody's picked up the amended agenda from the back of the table. It's a little different than the one that was originally posted online. There are a few changes that were made, and one of the cases was removed from the consent agenda and pushed to the non-consent public hearing portion of the agenda. So with that, we'll move on to communications from citizens. At this time, members of any public may comment on matters not on the agenda. The Commission's response is limited to responding to criticism, asking staff to review a matter commented upon.
Do we need to vote on the agenda?
Oh, do we vote on the agenda?
Excuse me?
Do we vote on the agenda?
Oh,
No.
No?
do we? I move to approve. That's a hanging movement there.
Thank you. All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
Good job.
Sorry.
There we go.
All right, so is there anybody here wishing to speak under those pretenses?
We didn't vote. Oh, you're going to vote after?
Are we good?
I always approved it.
I said all in favor, aye. Nobody responded?
Aye.
Is everybody in favor of the motion to approve the agenda?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay, so moved. Is there anybody here wishing to speak under the communications from citizens? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on. The public hearing consent portion of our agenda. The consent public hearing items will be heard at one public hearing. After the consent public hearing, these items may be approved by a single motion. At the request of a member of the commission or staff, an item may be removed from the consent calendar and may be heard and acted upon separately. Other items on the agenda may be added to the consent public hearing and approved under a single motion. The case which is under the consent portion of our public hearing is item number 12, which is S1205, preliminary plat and open space plan for Copperleaf for 111 homes on approximately 36.54 acres of real property located east of the southeast corner of Lindsay and Germain Roads in the single family 6 and single family 7 zoning districts with a planned area development overlay. With that in mind, do we have Ms. Thames? I don't think we need a presentation. Do we have a motion?
I think, did you open the public hearing and then close it?
For the consent agenda?
Yeah, you still got to have the,
Where's your cheat sheet?
Yes, I need my cheat sheet. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing for this item. Doesn't look like I have any cards
No,
on this particular item. Staff does not want to make a presentation?
it's on consent.
No. And with that, do I have a motion?
got to close the public hearing.
Close the public hearing. Thank you. We are on a roll tonight.
You keep
Close the public hearing and open it up for discussion or
Chairman,
motion?
can I make a motion?
You may.
You betcha. I move that we approve the consent agenda as outlined in our amended staff report.
Second.
I have a motion by Chairman or Commissioner Fuller, second by Commissioner Bianchi. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We'll move forward to the public hearing non-consent portion of the agenda. The non-consent public hearing items will be heard at an individual public hearing and will be acted upon by the Commission by a separate motion. During the public hearings, anyone wishing to comment in support of or in opposition to a public hearing item may do so. If you wish to comment on a public hearing item, you must fill out a public comment form indicating the item number in which you wish to be heard. Once the hearing is closed, there will be no further public comment unless requested by a member of the Commission. With that, we'll go ahead and call item number 13, UP 1204, which is Eduprise Charter School. It's a conditional use permit for approximately 5.24 acres of real property located east of the southeast corner of Cooper Road and Baseline Road to allow a school, public or private, large scale in the general commercial GC zoning district of the planned area development overlay zoning district, subject to conditions of site plan, circulation, and compatibility with adjoining uses. And we'll invite Mr. Al Ward up and open the public hearing.
Chairman Whitman and members of the Planning Commission, thank you. Al Ward, planner with the Gilbert Planning Department.
This is a request for use permit approval for a large-scale school. This is the Enterprise site, which is located east of the southeast corner of Cooper and Baseline and Monterey Street on 5.25 acres. This shows you the site again, Baseline Road at Monterey, and the existing charter school site is located at the bottom of the aerial here. The area in red is the proposed expansion area. Actually, the southern 5.25 acres shown here is Phase 4, is the actual area being involved. Surrounding areas include A to Z Rentals off to the west, Business Park, which is Gilbert Business Center, off to the east, Monterey Street between them, and that connects on to Baseline Road. To the south, we have Arrow Point Residential Subdivision. South of the existing school, which is just under 9 acres, to the southwest is Stonehenge Gilbert Residential Subdivision. Again, the area is shown there at 5.25 acres. This shows it a little bit more close. Monterey Street to the east, Baseline Road to the north. This is the area that we're looking at, UP 1204. Request is for a large-scale school on that 5.25 acre site, general commercial zoning district, and is immediately adjacent to the north side of the existing Enterprise school site. This is the site plan. A little bit more detail there. Let me zoom in a little closer. The area in brown is the overall area. There's a residual parcel of 3.5 acres. The Enterprise school expansion is 5.25 acres. The southwest is kind of a very southwest bottom. You can see the future middle school. I believe it's a middle school, 23,000 square feet. Everything else is the drop-off, pickup lanes, and parking for this facility. And again, it's also going to be shared as part of an overall campus with the existing Enterprise site, which is shown here, phases 1 to 3 at the bottom. The two areas in brown are the existing buildings. Immediately north and west of those buildings is the playground. The proposed building is located just on the north side of that playground to form an overall school campus. This was, by the way, continued from the August 1st meeting. And there was discussion about the traffic input analysis. At that time, it wasn't completed. It had been complete, but it hadn't been resolved as far as the town of Gilbert traffic engineer, as well as the consultant's traffic engineer. They've worked on it since that August 1st meeting, and they've come up with a recommended solution with that. The traffic study has now been approved. As I mentioned, this is Phase 4 for 5.25 acres. Anything 5 acres or greater kicks in, which is called a large school. The general commercial district requires a use permit for a large-scale school. We feel the use is reasonably compatible with the adjoining uses. We mentioned industrial to the west with A to Z Rental, Business Park to the east. The residual area of about 3.51 acres can be used adjacent to Baseline Road at some point in the future for office, retail, or even additional school use. I mentioned that the traffic impact analysis has now been completed and approved. At that meeting on August 1st, there were a number of residents from the Stonehenge Gilbert and Arrow Point residential subdivisions located in the southwest, southeast. Expressed concerns about added school traffic will affect their neighborhoods, speeding along Dodge Street, difficulty accessing Melody Avenue, Stonehenge Drive at the school start and stop times. Those were the concerns expressed. This is a site plan. Staff is recommending approval of the application, the use permit application, and the conditions are that the conform with the site plan as we just showed, and the two additional stipulations that have come out of the traffic impact assessment, which has now been approved by the town engineer, to develop a minimum 150-foot long left turn vehicle holding bay on Monterey Street as it approaches Baseline to the north, with that construction being to the satisfaction of the town engineer, and as well develop a 250-foot long holding bay on Baseline Road for westbound left turn lanes coming from Baseline onto Monterey Street, that being to the satisfaction of the Mesa town engineer. That Baseline Road is within the city of Mesa. So with that, that concludes my presentation. I'd be pleased to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Are there any questions for staff? Commissioner Bianchi?
Al, with the traffic impact assessment being completed, has that been shared with the residents? Because I know at the last meeting, that was the biggest issue.
Chairman Whitman and Commissioner Bianchi, no, that has not been shared. The traffic impact assessment has just recently been completed, and the two primary improvements, other than what's being shown here, have to do with the Baseline Monterey intersection. So, no, that has not been. There hasn't really been direct discussion with those, and that's.
But just more subject to town approval and review? Okay.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thanks.
Any additional comments for staff? Commissioner Steiger?
Al, do you have a map that would show?
Sorry. I'm Eric Gadarian, the town traffic engineer. We've been in contact with one of the HOAs, and I know that one gentleman was here this afternoon to review the traffic studies. So we made it available to the public as soon as possible.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Steiger?
Al, do you have a map, or would the traffic engineer have a map where you could outline, may be close to it, where you can show or point out the stipulations, requirements, conditions that our traffic engineer says need to occur?
Yes, Commissioner Steiger. This is the intersection, Monterey Street and Baseline, Baseline east-west, Monterey extending up past the existing school plus the proposed school, with the that intersection being the area of concern. The amount of traffic, and again, anything more detailed than what I can give you would be presented from the traffic engineer's point of view. Going northbound from the school to Baseline, there has to be a left turn holding bay, an extended left turn holding bay to allow traffic to make the turn onto Baseline, which is a very busy road indeed. Also entering the site from Baseline, which would be coming from the east, heading west, turning into the Monterey intersection, there has to be an improved holding bay, left turn holding bay at the intersection. So that would be 250 feet in length, and that would be subject to the details of the Mesa town or Mesa City traffic engineer. Thanks.
I'm not sure I fully understood your response.
Okay.
Did you? Did you? Okay, great.
Well,
Does it
I
follow up
kinda
to
did.
this?
I understand. So we don't actually have a site plan of that.
Right.
So what we're looking at, we don't have that in design.
And it's not a decel lane, right? So it's a holding,
It's a left turn lane, yeah.
so it's just a left turn lane, your normal traditional left turn lane, just a little further extended.
Chairman Woodman, yes, that's correct.
And I have
Okay.
a question to that. Then, are you still going to have the ingress egress for the retail future commercial? So that would cut through that?
I'd have to have the traffic engineer respond to that. I apologize.
We need to.
Are you talking about along Baseline Road?
No, I'm looking at you have that lane, and then, but if you're holding on Baseline, then you're thinking you're stacking up on Monterey. If you're holding on Baseline, you're not going to sit in that lane. So then you're having a stacking of cars sitting in front of that ingress egress on Monterey. Because we're looking at having a lane basically sitting there 250 feet.
Right.
So I'd like to, I guess, if we have any design concept other than what we're looking at.
Commissioner Ayler?
Yes.
Thank you. At this point in time, we don't have the details of that. I don't know whether the traffic engineer or the consultant's traffic engineer could respond to that. I just don't have the detail. I apologize for that.
Oh, that's all right. Thank you.
I'll respond to that. The driveway to the commercial property is approximately 220 feet south of Baseline. The turning lane that we're asking for on Monterey is 150 feet, so there shouldn't be stacking back to the driveway. The 200-foot left turn lane that we're at, 250-foot left turn lane that we're asking for is on Baseline, so turning off of Baseline onto Monterey. There's an existing left turn lane out there that's about 125 feet, so we're asking for it to be extended.
So we're actually talking going from east to west, not actually in front of the property?
In front of the property on Monterey Street, we're asking for 150 feet.
Right.
And the driveway in question that you're talking about to the commercial property, I believe, is 220 feet south of Baseline.
but your 250-foot lane is actually
On
the
baseline.
on baseline on the
West
east side of Monterey.
Yes.
Okay.
Westbound traffic.
Turning
Well, 'cause I was-
this direction. So, I think I have the mouse here. So we're asking for 250 feet here on baseline coming westbound, turning left onto Monterey Street, and 150 feet from Monterey Street, turning left, then onto baseline.
Okay. Yeah, because I sat there this morning trying to make a left onto baseline. There was only 2 cars, and it was very difficult to make that left.
Correct. And so,
Do a site visit?
All right, thank you.
thanks.
Any further questions for the traffic engineer while we have him up here? I don't think so. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Commissioner Sippel?
Mr. Ward, is the applicant willing to do these 2 items that you're bringing forward?
I would have to say yes. The traffic engineering study was commissioned by the applicant, and this is the results. The town engineers work closely with the applicant's traffic consultant engineer, and this is the outcome of the traffic analysis. And again, I apologize for the very recent nature of the study coming out. I haven't had a chance to consult on a lot of the very basic details of it.
Okay, thank you.
Any further comments for staff, questions for staff? Commissioner Steiger?
So, Mr. Ward, how many HOAs or businesses that have expressed an opinion previously have not yet been appraised and had a dialogue regarding the traffic engineering report?
Well, there are 3, Commissioner Steiger, 3 primary interveners at the August 1st meeting. We received a letter from the Gilbert Business Center, and we have had discussions with them. They have not received information on the very specifics of the traffic impact analysis, which was only approved this week. The 2 others were the 2 residential communities to the southwest, Stonehenge, Gilbert, and Arrow Point off to the southeast. The traffic consultant has indicated he's been in discussion with at least one of the community associations, and the other one, I don't know of their level of awareness of the current recommendation for the improvements.
Are you still comfortable, given that we can say the findings of fact that the proposed use wouldn't unreasonably interfere with the use and enjoyment of nearby properties? Or would you prefer that maybe we have a little more time for staff to have dialogue with those other folks before we bring this up for a vote?
Thank you. We're going to have opportunity for you to speak soon.
I think the response would be, I'd like to see how the meeting unfolds. I personally feel that the traffic impact analysis has been completed and addressed the primary points. I do want to mention there's a little bit of a missing link here. The concern which was brought up by the community didn't have very much to do with the Monterey baseline intersection. It really had to do with Dodge Street. Traffic going from the school to the school, from down Dodge Street, which is off of Stonehenge Drive and Melody Avenue, extending southward to Houston Ave. And there was concern of traffic going through the neighborhood. There was concern about high level of speed along that Dodge Street, which is a collector road. And also there was concern about traffic coming up to Dodge Street and then trying to turn left to the signal at Stonehenge and Baseline, and a continuous queue of traffic for people dropping off school children, picking them up, and not being able to have enough queuing, not being able to have enough timing to take that left turn. Those are the 2 primary concerns, or I should say 3: traffic coming through the neighborhood, high level of speed on Dodge Street, and then that left turn out of Dodge Street onto Stonehenge. It really didn't have too much, as I recall, dealing with the intersection as proposed. So out of the traffic analysis, and I believe it was one of the reasons it was continued by the Planning Commission back on August 1st, was to see what kind of traffic mitigation measures were warranted, primarily related to the concerns of the neighbors to the south and southwest. And as I understand it, the traffic analysis did not indicate a warrant. And there's some additional information on that relating to a traffic speed study that was conducted on Dodge Street and an observation of the turning movements from Dodge onto Stonehenge, and that was done by the traffic engineer. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner, sorry, Ayler?
I guess it's for the traffic question. Is in the traffic study, did it take in consideration of the remainder 350 and future? Because we're kind of carving that out right now. So did it take in consideration the future commercial concept involved in that turning? And because how it's laid out, you're going to feed on Monterey to take a left.
Commissioner Euler and commissioners, it did not take into account that because it really depends what goes in on that site, what sort of traffic it will generate. At the time that development comes in, we will ask for a traffic study on that site. And to go back, sorry, just to clarify on Al's point, after the last Planning Commission, we actually, our department hired a consultant to do a speed study on Dodge, hearing the neighborhood's complaints, so we could see what sort of traffic volumes were out there and what sort of speeds were happening. And we found that Dodge is a collector street, and the speeds were pretty typical of a collector street that we see. The average speed, the speed limit's 25 miles an hour. The average speed is about 27 miles an hour, and really the speed that we look at as traffic engineers to see if there's a speeding problem is the 85th percentile speed, and that's really saying that 85% of people drive at that speed or lower, or there's 15% driving above that speed, and that speed was in the low 30s, which is rather typical of a collector street in Gilbert.
Thank you. Any additional comments or questions?
So,
Staff?
well, to
Oh,
finish
sorry.
that one. So, I guess it gets to how we're looking at this to staff level. We're not taking any consideration of even a minimalistic look of what we're putting out onto the front, because we know something's going to be in the future.
Yeah.
And take a look at it now.
It's really difficult because, if it comes in and it's general retail, that has a lot different traffic pattern than an office type use or whatnot. So, we look at it on a case-by-case basis and do the best we can. So we don't typically ask for something that we don't know is definitely going in.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions, comments? Thank you. We'll go ahead and we've got a few. Al, Mr. Ward, do you have anything additional that you needed to add? Okay. We'll go ahead and open it up to the public. We have a few cards. Some of them indicate whether they wish to speak and some of them don't. So forgive me, but I'll ask you as your card presents itself. The first is Dr. Barbara Duncan says that she wishes to speak. If you could please come up to the podium and state your name and city of residence, please.
Hi, good evening. My name is Dr. Barbara Duncan. I am here to read a letter from Jean Geyer, 495 West Gary Avenue, Gilbert. She's a homeowner at Arrow Point. Says, to whom it may concern, I'm a proud parent of a student at EduPrize Schools and an owner resident in the Arrow Point neighborhood directly next to the school. I am writing to show my support of EduPrize Schools' current expansion plans. The school's staff has always worked hard to carefully regulate their traffic flow for families picking up and dropping off students, and I trust their plans for the future. I was thrilled to see a new traffic lane and parking lot, and I'm very excited about the planned expansion of this A-plus elementary and junior high school. Thank you, Jean Geyer.
Thank you. Next, I have Fred Pinky. I am in favor and wish to speak. Give your name and city of residence for the record. That would be great.
I'm Fred Pinckney from Gilbert, Arizona. I'm the board president of the Airport HOA Association, and our community runs the entire frontal length of the school. We get the brunt of the traffic, but we wholeheartedly support and approve of the expansion. I myself live at the corner of Melody, Golden Key, and Gary, so I can see all the traffic patterns all the time. And I can assure you that any improvements to the entry and exit of Monterey is going to greatly improve the traffic pattern and will take a little pressure from our community. We don't expect the expansion to have any adverse impact on our community. Enterprise has been very sensitive to staggering the start times of the classes, so that over the years, as the school has increased from 300 kids to 1,400, we haven't seen any more stack-ups at the crunch points than we have in the past. I know, because when I try to go out from Gary, only at a certain time of day, it's traffic stacked up, maybe for a few minutes, and it's gone. And of course, our parents wholeheartedly support it because it gives them an opportunity to send their kids to a school nearby. And I have reviewed the traffic plan. Matter of fact, I was there before Monterey was even built. And it'll be a big improvement. And the left turn on Baseline, I had not thought about, but that will enable people to stack up without blocking traffic on Baseline. And the 150 feet on Monterey will be successful because most people are going to turn right and go down Baseline. The reason is there's not much value in turning left on Baseline if you're trying to get to Cooper and go south. That traffic light on Cooper and Baseline is a 3-car light. You can't get there. But on the other hand, the light on Harris is a long light that seldom is red. I go by it 3-4 times a day, at least 2. And I get caught at that red light on Harris maybe 2 or 3 times a month. So most people are going to go out and turn right, because I follow them to the gym in the afternoon. So that is a great advantage of the improvement there, and will greatly improve the traffic flow. So that's why we in Stonehenge, who live right in front of the school, are convinced that there won't be any adverse effect on our neighborhood traffic if the expansion is approved. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Next, I have Shauna Haywood, says I'm in favor of this item, but didn't indicate whether she wishes to speak or not. Ms. Haywood, do you wish to speak? Thank you, come on down. And next I have Charles McNeil, it says I'm opposed, but didn't indicate whether he wishes to speak or not. Do you wish to speak? Okay. If you could state your name and city for the residents for the record, that'd be great.
Chairman Whitman, members of the commission, my name is Shauna Haywood, and my city of residence is Gilbert. I've grown up here, and as a parent of a child that attends Enterprise, I don't know that I can state any better than has already been stated, but the school does run very efficiently, particularly with the drop-off and pickup times, and appears to be very, very sensitive to their neighbors, both business-wise, commercially, and residentially. My experience is being able to pick up and drop off my child very quickly and efficiently, and they're sensitive to time and people's concerns. And I believe that this expansion would do nothing but benefit everyone in the area.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. McNeil?
Commission, my name is Charles McNeil. I am the president, or excuse me, I am a resident of Gilbert. I am the president of the Stonehenge Gilbert HOA, a community of 190 homes just to the south of the school. We are adamantly opposed to any expansion of Enterprise. The question is not how well they take care of their students, their children, but how they take care of the other children in the area that go to the other public schools in the area, mainly Oak Tree. From their own action, they have acknowledged that there is a traffic congestion and safety concern in that area. Basically, the school has outgrown the area and the street traffic. Their actions as far as their staggered starting times, and most recently, their action of disallowing their students to ride bicycles to school over their safety concern. That's all fine and well for the students of EduPrise, but it has not taken into consideration the other students of the public schools from Stonehenge. This traffic study was completed. It was finalized yesterday. I did take a cut my travels short this week so that I might study it this afternoon. I am not a traffic engineer, but it's interesting what some of the numbers from their own traffic study point out. The expansion, as we've stated it earlier, will go from 1,425 students to 1,849. That's a 29% increase in student body at EduPrise. Currently, the school generates a little over 3,500 traffic trips per day in that area. The expansion will raise that a little over 1,000 to roughly 4,600 traffic trips. These are their numbers, not mine, per day. Once again, a 29% increase in traffic in that area. Estimated that 34% of those trips travel to the south via either Dodge, through Stonehenge, or through Golden Key through Arrowhead. Actual traffic count, it's interesting in this, as I read the study, memos from the town's traffic engineer questioned whether or not those traffic counts were accurate. He was assured by the engineering company that they were in fact that high. They are estimated on, actual traffic count in a 24-hour period when the school is in session. We have over 1,200 trips through Dodge, on Dodge, both northbound and southbound. When a school is not in session, 562. That's a 119% increase in traffic on Dodge when school is in session. This does not take into account any expansion. These are current numbers. Speed on traffic, speed on the traffic at Dodge I could not find in a report, but I think your traffic engineer has calmly stated it's 85% percentile, about 31 miles an hour. The town, I'm told, does not consider traffic calming effects until we're at 10 miles an hour over the posted speed limit. That's on a 45 mile an hour street, I'd certainly understand that. On a 25 mile an hour neighborhood street, that's a 40% greater than posted speed limit. That's a little high in my opinion. Page 2 of the engineering report, their task engineering's report states, revised report recommends action to reduce traffic level and speed on Dodge and Golden Key. I have not heard or seen any of this implemented by the applicant or by the town. So that is our objection to the expansion. We've not seen any calming effect for the city, for the traffic heading south for that area.
Thank you, Mr. McNeil. Is there any questions or comments from Mr. McNeil? Okay. I did receive one additional card from a Lynn Rothus. Robershot? Dr. Robershot in favor and wishes to speak.
Thank you, Madam Chairman and committee members, commissioners. Dr. Lynn Robershot with EduPrise, and obviously in favor of this. One of the things that the traffic counts did take into account was movement of some of the current traffic to the south up to the north. So that was purposely already directed. So any of those counts that you'll see in that analysis have already expressly intended to move some of that from the south, and the gentleman who was just discussing his concerns more to the north. As far as him representing the concerns of all of Stonehenge, I know that isn't true, because we just had a parent that spoke on behalf of that who's from that neighborhood, and we probably could have another 24 in here for you. So I strongly suggest that that you understand that he, as the HOA president, is representing his opinion and not that of the entire whole of 180 homes as he has shared with you this evening. We're very excited about this expansion, and for the exact reason to assist with the flows to the south. That's been a big part of which I shared with you a few months ago when we met on this project. We've had 2 traffic engineers to validate these numbers, not just one. Worked closely with the city of Mesa. Worked very closely with Eric and Al Ward to try to accommodate each and every concern. And I know they have expressly reviewed every one of the voice concerns of the public on both sides, and very much been responsive to those. And I'm happy to answer any questions, if I might, for the commission.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Robershot? No. Thank you very much. I don't have any additional cards, but I do want to point out that I failed to invite up the applicant. Is the applicant here tonight and wish to make a presentation other than Ms. Robershot?
Jeff Williams with RV Williams and Associates. We're the civil engineers and the applicant. I do reside in Gilbert. As far as presentation goes, I think Dr. Robershot expressed clearly and pretty well the fact that the school has worked very diligently with the town's traffic engineer and also the city of Mesa to try and resolve the issues of some of the residents in the area. I've been in business for a long time. I've done a lot of schools, and I can say that of all the schools that I've designed and worked with, EduPrise has been the most responsive to not only the needs of their students, but in response to the Homeowners Association president, to the surrounding community. They try very hard to mitigate the traffic congestion due to the students' pickup and drop-off times. I've not ever experienced the type of program that they have there. As a matter of fact, I believe, I don't know if Eric was the one or if maybe it was Jeff Herb, the traffic engineer before Eric, went out and saw and looked at their Queen Creek campus and was amazed at the flow of traffic and how well it works in the community. So I think that the school has really gone overboard trying to make sure that they don't have a detrimental impact in the community, not just in the school. And I think that you'll find that they're good community citizens. They want to provide a great service to the community with their school. It's one of the, I don't know, you win awards all the time, don't you, Lynn? She's humble about that, but they win a lot of awards. It's a great school, provides a great education, and is a good community and a citizen. And I think you'll find that the steps that we're trying to take to mitigate the traffic concerns in this area are the steps that need to be taken. Eric has gone through the report with a fine-tooth comb. We've worked for 2 months to try and make sure that the numbers were accurate, that they're going to reflect the future conditions out there, and that indeed the traffic concerns that have been expressed will be taken care of. So I think it's a great school, it's a great project, and with every project that you have concerns, and we appreciate that. But I think the school has done all they can to mitigate those concerns to a standard of care that is reasonable. So we appreciate your time and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Any questions or comments for the applicant? All right. Mr. Ward, did you have anything you wanted to follow up on? No. Any questions for staff before we close the public hearing? Commissioner Steiger?
I have a question for the HOA president. Can I?
Certainly.
Sir?
Mr. McNeil, could you please come back up to the dais, please? Are you talking
I'm
about the
sorry.
HOA president?
Yeah, the
Which-
HOA president.
Mr. McNeil?
Mr. McNeil, I'm
This one over
misunderstood. Yeah, aren't there two HOAs?
Which one are you referring to?
Yes, sir, I'm sorry. Yes, sir, holding up the water bottle? Yes, sir.
Thank you. Pickney?
Yes.
Mr. Pinckney, I got a little confused there. Was your comment endorsing the changes to the traffic something that is your view as an individual homeowner, or is this your view and you've talked with your board and this is the association's position?
I'm on the board president. I talk to people in the community, and they are wholeheartedly behind it. We pushed the town of Gilbert for years to put in Monterey for the express purpose of directing traffic to the north. For you newcomers, Monterey didn't exist before 2003, 2004. We pushed really hard. Actually, we wanted Monterey to be asked Gilbert to make Monterey to be a two-lane road with turn lane all the way up, for the very express purpose of getting traffic to the north. The more traffic you can divert on Monterey, the wider it is, the more traffic leaves my neighborhood. See, I can also see Monterey from my master bedroom window. I look down at it all the time. So I know the volume of traffic that's on Monterey. I live on the outer edge of Air Point, looking north, and I can actually throw a big rock to the road and break windows in the mom's car when they come up. Well, I could when I was a kid anyway. I live that close.
Thank you, sir. So what you're saying is that you're representing the neighborhood, not yourself.
In entire community, we endorse it 100%.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Ayler?
Yeah, I did have one question for the applicant. And
Mr. Williams?
And we're talking about Monterey. So are we widening at the threshold between Baseline and Monterey? Are we widening?
Yeah, we're widening on, at the intersection of Monterey and Baseline, there's about 80 feet of storage in the left turn bay currently, and we'll extend that out so we put in 150 feet of storage. So just about double the amount of storage that's currently
So we're going to be changing curbs and...
There will be some change to the curb and gutter. Yeah, now it's interesting because Monterey at that intersection extends back a little bit further than what it is striped for currently for the left turn bay. So another, what do we have? Another 70 feet of left turn storage does require us to widen a little bit, but luckily not a whole lot. We just have to stripe, but we will have to redo the curb and gutter to a degree.
Okay, thank you.
If I might add, as the part of the application, since our first building went in, we strongly went to the Planning Commission and said, we've looked at your general plan and Monterey needs to be twice as wide. That was with Building 1, Phase 1. Building 2, on Monterey, when we developed it, we put in a 3/4 street, not a half street, and begged the town, the Planning Commission, to please extend that, take part of our land, allow that. We were second time denied to do that because they said it already had a, what's it called, site plan, an approved general master plan, whatever that, I'm using the wrong term, so forgive me. Then when the industrial condominiums came in, I came to the commission and begged for it to be reconsidered because I understood large trucks were going to be coming up Monterey to deliver for many of the purposes and the tenants on that site. And for a third time, begged the commission, please, before they build, require that Monterey be widened. Before infrastructure was put in, before sidewalks were put in, before curb and gutter was put in, 3 times. I've been asked for staff now for those emails. I said, no, I'm more vocal than that. We came down in person and even with our own project said, we want this widened. I know Al Ward has had to put up with me a time or two regarding this in the past. We feel very strongly, as much as this is going to be costly, that this is a critical piece of developing this area. And sadly, when I met with Eric the first time, I said, I know what you're going to find out. It's needed to be all along. Much like, sadly, at the corner of Stonehenge and Baseline, when there is currently a stoplight that goes from right at the A to Z corner, that now, after us, came in a Walmart. Again, before Sombreros came in, I begged the town to have Stonehenge widened at that mouth so that we could have a real left turn lane at that turn signal. And the town again, fourth time, said, no, we have a master development. This has already been, pre-approved. We've looked at those items. So what they did after the fact, if you look at aerials, you will see at Stonehenge and Baseline that they took the width of a 2-lane, is it called an arterial or a connector or whatever it is? Whatever, the local collector that Stonehenge up to Baseline, what they did is just paint in a 3rd lane so you could turn left. If you ever try to make a quick right-hand turn from Baseline onto Stonehenge, and there is someone in the left turn lane, you better hope you're not in a large vehicle, because it does not make that turning radius. So I would ask the council to really strongly look at all projects and all developments in the future, and please listen to those people that are going in with their uses and knowing what the needs will be, because it isn't always to ask for you to cut short or give us the benefit of a cost or those kind of things. It's to look at what's best for the neighborhood and the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further comments, questions? No additional comments from staff? Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing then and bring it back to the dais for further discussion. Anybody want to lead us off in that discussion?
I will.
Commissioner Ehler?
Well, I went out to the site a couple times a week ago and then this morning, and drove around, went down, took all different ways around, tried to make a left and a right, got stuck a couple times, and this was before the traffic study, and it was kind of funny enough that I was looking to see if we could be able to do what we're proposing, because trying to make a left off of Monterey out of the site, and you're just going to get stacked up. There's just no other way. There's too much traffic. You got to wait for a break at Stonehenge to be able to turn past and get left. So I definitely can appreciate the design, being able to stack a few more cars on Monterey. My original concerns before I went out to the site was why we have an ingress-egress point on the northwest portion of the property. If you take in the future commercial that's being carved off that we're not looking at, I guess. But it wouldn't be a viable way, because you could only take or you'd have to do a whole new island break. You would have to take a left. You almost create a light, and then you already have Stonehenge just a couple hundred feet away. So if you're looking at the practicality of the design, more and more looking at the site, looking at how traffic flows, I just don't, I started driving down into the neighborhood and trying to figure out, okay, if I was here, how would I shortcut this? And none of it made sense. You start wiggling through the neighborhood, and the only way you would know that is if you lived in the neighborhood. And so if you live there, you're not trying to cut through to get to another collector street. So in looking at all the design, I think the pieces that have been brought in with the new turn lane off of Baseline and the new turn lane off of Monterey really alleviate a lot of the traffic flows, and they have plenty of queuing. I mean, to have this kind of queuing on site I wish the school my girls go to had this kind of queuing. I mean, you just don't have it. You don't normally have this kind of property to work with. So I'd be leaning towards being in favor of this into the looking at it. Thank you.
Great. Anybody else? Commissioner Bianchi?
I guess I would agree with Commissioner Oler, and I appreciate because he looks at this as part of his job, so I kind of lean on him for his review on this as well. But, when we look at this traffic assessment, it's been in work nearly 3 months now. I mean, we delayed this permit initially to ensure that it was completed prior to any permit issuance. When you just look at the site itself, it's a general commercial district, which in nature is a traffic generator. And I think with the entry and queuing, it's oriented close to baseline, which is a major arterial. So based on what we saw the last time we saw it in our discussions, I think the facts of finding have been met. So.
Thank you. Commissioners, anybody else? Nobody else? Well, for me personally, I'll go ahead and go then. If nobody else wants to discuss, unless you change your mind. I think that it's an improvement, and I think I'm grateful for the applicant for working with staff and working with the town engineer, the traffic engineer, to try and find a solution that was workable for this site. It's very important that if the site is expanded to what it's proposed to expand to, that it be functional, not only for the school, but also for the uses surrounding it. And I think that based on the town engineer's approval and the stipulations that are before us tonight, the amended stipulations, it seems like the traffic situation has been mitigated, or the issue had been mitigated. I really like the site plan. I like all the queuing that's available on site. I like the forethought and the planning that took in that it required to go into this plan to make sure that they could get people in and off site as quickly as possible, but also as safely as possible for the students. And I think that's tremendously important. So I agree with the other commissioners, and I would be supportive of the use permit. Commissioner Steiger.
The input from both of the HOAs was very valuable, and based upon the traffic assessment and some of the other feedback that I hadn't picked up before the previous times in August and October that we had talked about this, the staggering of the school start times and everything. You can't ask for folks to do more to be a better neighbor other than to move out. So for those reasons, I believe that those four elements in terms of the impact on the neighborhood, is it in conformance with the plan and everything, I'm satisfied with those four being met now.
Thank you. Commissioner Sippel?
Yeah, I just want to add a couple things. And first is, you've got an applicant here who has a large piece of property, 5 acres, and you'll notice that of that 5 acres, they've chosen just to carve out a small piece for more school space, if you will, and devoting most of it to help alleviate traffic with stacking lanes and parking. And so I commend them for doing that. And on a more personal note, there's always a thought process of, when it leaves here, do they really do what they're going to say? You always got to take that trust. And I've seen Dr. Robershot numerous times out there on Monterey directing traffic to help get cars off of it and onto their property to queue. So certainly kudos to them for allowing more stacking and for addressing those traffic flow patterns in a proactive way. So I would be in support of this.
Vice Chairman Peterson.
I'm struggling with the traffic through the neighborhoods. The last time that we heard the whole subject was in August, and the most opposition that we heard was from the neighborhoods. It was not from anybody stacking on Monterey or onto Baseline. We got into the whole discussion during which the neighbors came up and said, our issue is coming through the neighborhoods, coming through the neighborhoods, coming through the neighborhoods. They cut through Stonehenge, they cut through Arrow Point, I think is correct. I've said this a lot of times on the commission. I live across the street from a high school, and you wouldn't think that it would be a logical way for people to intertwine through, but I have traffic on my streets every day, all day, because the seniors get out and they get to leave the campus and they cut through. I know that one of the last things that we discussed at the meeting, the last meeting was traffic calming in the neighborhoods, and I haven't heard any of that. And since we don't have the traffic plan to even look at, I don't know that that's been met. So I'm struggling with meeting all 4 of the findings. I'm not sure that in my mind all 4 findings have been met, because I don't see that what we discussed initially and the reasons why we continued this case, and then obviously it got continued for other reasons, but the reasons why we continued this case initially in August was because the traffic issues were not met. And I don't know that I don't think that I can find that the 4 facts have been found based on that.
Commissioner Ayler.
Kind of looking at that, just in the point of talking about traffic calming, by pushing the traffic up onto Monterey, you see a lot of why you wouldn't want to take Monterey now is you sit on it, there's nowhere to stack, it starts jumbling up everything. But by adding this turn lane, it gives you a better option to go that way than wanting to go down. So I think, in essence, by creating this turn lane, you are by creating calming of traffic going south, because you're trying to alleviate the traffic that would be today going south, because it's just not very viable to go north. So by creating a north, I'm just trying to give you an option of why I would consider it as a calming, traffic calming.
And I appreciate that the traffic will change due to all of the changes that they've made with this plan and the lanes and the way that they stack everything. But we're also probably more than doubling the amount of cars coming and going every day. So I think one's going to cancel the other one out. In my mind, I'm not seeing how the cars going south are going to be slowed down, diverted, that they're going to change the patterns that they have, especially when you have families that live in some of those neighborhoods just south of Stonehenge, maybe just west of Stonehenge, and they're just going to cut through. It makes a lot more sense than to go on to Baseline. In my mind, Baseline's too busy. I have to think of it how I would do it if I was living there sometimes, and especially when it's the case of a school. I would drop my kids off, and if I worked, I would probably hit Baseline to go to work. That's logical. You'd go out Baseline to get to the freeway. If I was staying at home, I would probably cut back through the neighborhoods because I wouldn't want to have to go on to Baseline. So that's what I'm looking at, and I don't see that resolution for the south, and that's why I'm having trouble finding those facts.
Hey, Bridget, I don't know, and I may be remembering this wrong, but I thought they said, I don't think they said that the car trips, and I could be wrong, but I don't think they said the car trips would double. I think they said the car trips would go from like 4,500 to 5,500, but 1,000 more, 25%. Right, and I thought you said double, so I want to make sure you had that information when you were processing this. So.
Thank you.
Sure.
Additional comments or thoughts?
I'm just one vote.
I think you're all by yourself.
I know.
I guess when I look at it too, I also look at the site being general commercial, and that in and of itself is going to generate a lot of trips and a lot of traffic, and whether it's for their school or not, there's still going to be traffic at that intersection. And the fact that they're trying to expand Monterey and expand the turning movements as proposed by the traffic engineer and approved by the traffic engineer, I think that'll only help alleviate some of the potential congestion at the center. I also think that if there's homeowners that live within the subdivision that are using their internal streets to get their kids to and from school, that's the reason, and that's the purpose of those streets, is to take people from their homes in and out of that subdivision. So I personally don't see that as an issue. I think with the queuing that they have planned, I think with the expansion of the street section, and the design of the turning movements and the turning bays, I think that pretty significantly probably addresses those issues before, and will hopefully kind of funnel the traffic up through Monterey into Baseline, except for those people who may live in that particular subdivision. So again, it's not that was my thought process and why it's not as much of a concern for me. So with that, are we ready for a motion?
Yeah. Would you like a motion?
I would. Commissioner Bianchi.
I would move to approve the findings and make the findings fine for UP 12-04 for Eduprise Charter School expansion, subject to the amended conditions provided tonight.
Great. I have a motion by Commissioner Bianchi. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Sippel. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Passes 6-1.
Would you like to recess, Chairman?
Sure, we can recess the meeting for 5 minutes. Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
We'll reconvene at 7:35.
Just won't go away.
we'll go ahead and reconvene the meeting, the Planning Commission meeting. And if I can get my iPad to function here with me, I believe, actually, it's probably better if I use this. Chad is just strolling in. Thank you. I think we're on item number 14, which is GP 1204. It's a minor general plan amendment for the Gilbert 2012 annual general plan update, including the following. Chapter 1, which is an introduction to update the text with current information, including population and rankings. Chapter 2, land use and growth areas, to update population data, update implementation strategies, correct spelling, and add a section relating to aggregates as required by state legislation. Chapter 3, circulation, to add text relating to commuter rail as an alternate mode. Chapter 5, public facilities and services, to update the number of fire stations. Chapter 6, community design, to update implementation strategies. Chapter 7, environmental planning, to update water use data, update recycling efforts, and update green building text to reflect the town's latest green initiatives and to update implementation strategies. Chapter 11, energy, to update implementation strategies relating to the town's green initiatives, amending the land use map to reflect recent general plan amendments, amending the circulation map to update the legend and collector street alignments to reflect general plan amendments, and to add a transit map, including alternate modes, and finally to add the bicycle and canal trail plan map to reflect new trails, and to amend public facilities map to add public facility locations. That's a lot. I'll go ahead and open the public hearing and welcome Mr. Mike Melillo.
Thank you, Chairman Whitman, members of the commission. You did a very good job of summarizing the
thanks to your text.
The amendment. This slide further summarizes all of the different details, basically looking at seven of the elements of the general plan, and some of them are just corrections that were missed in the major update. As was mentioned earlier during the study session, the 10-year update just occurred in 2011, and that was about a 2-year process to update the general plan. And so the planning division really would like to just come to you on an annual basis and make more minor changes so that we don't have as much work to do, hopefully, during the next 10-year amendment that's required by law. So we do have updates to the rankings, the population, and we did have to add some text to conform to state legislation on the aggregates. We've also amended the maps, and I'll just briefly go through those. The land use map has been amended, and this was really a good exercise because over the last 2 years, we really should be picking up all of the amendments to the general plan that the commission and the council have approved. But in going through this with our GIS staff, we found that there were a couple of cases that we missed. So they're not technically part of the amendment because they were already approved, but they are shown on the new updated land use plan. And we also did add a PFI area along Riggs Road, which I believe is right, hard to see at this scale, but right at that location for an SRP future substation. So that reflects all of the land use map amendments. Circulation plan, a few more details. Oddly enough, the existing circulation plan doesn't really show Loop 202 very clearly. It doesn't show the Santan Freeway. It doesn't show US 60, and so we've had those darkened on the current map. We also added some detail to this area, and let me just quickly switch over to the overhead. This gives you a little bit better view of this in detail. This again was a general plan amendment that occurred a couple of years back. It was actually in 2008. but it was never shown on our general plan map. This was a general plan amendment that modified the land use in this area southeast of Mercy Road and Pecos. And the conditions of the case required that we place a minor collector street with a 60-foot maximum right-of-way through this area in order to serve it. We had an open house for the neighborhood back in July, and this really was the alignment that seemed most acceptable to the people at that meeting because it avoids the existing single-family homes as much as possible in the area and the existing single-family zoning that was not part of the case. And I think that really is all of the modifications to the circulation plan map. We've also added an alternative transportation map, which was missing from the 10-year update. And this map just reflects our existing local and express bus routes. It also reflects where we expect to have or are planning a high-capacity transit, which most likely will be bus rapid transit along the Williamsfield Road corridor. That's shown over here with this green line. It shows the light rail on our western border here. That's primarily going to be in Chandler. That's the proposed light rail extension down Arizona Avenue. And it also shows the proposed commuter rail line along the Union Pacific Railroad alignment, along with the two proposed stations, one in the Heritage District and one here at Cooley Station. So this again is the long-range plan, and as I think is pointed out in the staff report and in the text for the general plan, the commuter rail study showed that this line, this commuter rail line, the southeast corridor line, actually is projected to have the greatest number of trips out of all of the commuter rail lines in the valley. So that's significant. We've updated the bicycle and canal trail plan map. Shows more clearly the on-street bicycle system, and it also updates the map to show segments of the central trail system that have actually been updated. A little hard to see again at this scale, but you know, all of this section of the central trail, which runs on the south side and parallel to Loop 202, has been constructed, and there's other segments of it located here and here that are also shown. Public facilities map, just added a fire station at Warner and 130th Street, and that is a future fire station location. And so that, I think, takes care of all the different maps. The only other thing that I would point out that's in your packet, which we will strike from the text or the amendment to the general plan, is on your page 18, which is the last page in the packet. That we have the text that reads, in 2012, Gilbert adopted a green building policy. If you've been following the town council meetings, on October 25th, we did take the green building policy to the town council. The town council chose not to adopt the policy, and so we should probably strike that language, as at the earliest we might be able to get that back in 2013 if we decide to put it into the plan. Thank you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Great. Any questions for staff? Questions or comments? I do have one small note. I noticed on page 17 of the staff report, under the second paragraph, I think it should read, Gilbert will continue to promote the wise use of energy. Just a small modification while we're making the change.
That's correct. Thank you.
Other than that, I don't have any comments. Does anybody else? Oh, Commissioner Bianchi?
I have a question. So I was just, Mike, I was looking over the rail study, the MAG study, and it talked about the corridor offering highest ridership, substantial travel times, and then it says it would be cost effective. Do you know what that means by adding that line of it would be cost effective as an addition?
Madam Chairman, Commissioner Bianchi, I am really not familiar with how they actually completed the commuter rail study. I'm familiar with the results.
So
but
was that taken from MAG?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what they meant by that, but that was taken right out of the MAG commuter rail study report.
Okay, thanks.
All right, with that, don't have any further comments or questions for staff. I don't see anybody here wishing to speak on this matter. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to the dais for discussion, possible motion.
Are you ready for a motion?
I am. Commissioner Bianchi.
Commissioner Steiger?
Oh, Commissioner Steiger?
I really like the updates of the maps. Excuse me, I think that is excellent.
You're choked up over it.
It's very emotional. Okay. Commissioner Bianchi?
If there's nothing further, I would move to recommend to council approval of GP 12-4, minor general plan amendment for the 2012 annual general plan update, subject to the correction that staff noted.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Bianchi, a second by Commissioner Steiger. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, well, that takes us now to the administrative items portion of our agenda. Item number 15, minutes. Consider approval of the minutes of the study session and regular meeting agenda of October 3rd, 2012. Commissioner Bianchi, any changes?
I didn't have any changes, and actually, I would give kudos to Margot, because that was a very long meeting. There were a lot of public speakers, and that was a lot to keep up with, so.
Hold on, I've got a change.
You do? Oh,
he does.
no.
This is a
Takes
rather
it all
personal
back.
change, so.
They spell
it's
your
on
name wrong?
no, that wouldn't be as bad, actually. Page 26 says, Chairman Fuller, I was no longer the chairman, so that's on there, invited members of the public forward who wish to speak on this item. She said that since, so I just want to make sure that
It's probably because I called you chairman.
Yeah.
During the course of the discussion.
Yeah. So
But I have it.
there's just a couple spots where it's Chairman Fuller instead of Commissioner, and then one part my gender's wrong.
Oh, dang.
That's a good catch.
Thank you.
That's a good catch.
I think that's the first time in 7.5 years on the commission I've ever had a change in the minutes.
And it only pertained to him.
Yeah.
All right. With that, do we have a motion for approval?
I would move for approval. I'm sorry.
Do I have a second? Second.
I thought she might want to do it.
Yeah. The chairman? This one or this one?
I'll second. I will second.
I've got a motion by Commissioner Bianchi, second by Commissioner Fuller. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We'll consider approval of the Planning Commission meeting calendar for calendar year 2013. See, I didn't even look at it. Right.
Would you like a motion there, Chairman?
Yes.
I move to approve the Planning Commission meeting calendar for calendar year 13.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? I was just staring at that. So it looks like we have a joint meeting with the Town Council on April 16th.
Yes.
So does that mean that we won't be hearing any cases
It's a
that
Tuesday.
month?
It's a Tuesday.
Oh, it's right. That's the second meeting that month.
So don't miss that as you're putting things on your calendar for next year.
Interesting. And don't take vacation during that time. After tax day. Oh, good to know. Okay. All right. Moving on to communications. Item number 17, report from the chairman and members of the commission on current events. Anybody want to report? I know there was an election last night. I'll let Commissioner or Vice Chairman Peterson.
Chairman, I'll go ahead and report that we did have an election last evening, and unfortunately the results for several of us that are friends with our council member, Vice Mayor John Sense, who is our liaison, are not good. And I was hoping that he'd be here tonight so that I could say a few words, but he's not, and I just want him to know that we very much appreciate all of his service between the Planning Commission and the Town Council, and I look forward to working with him in a future capacity here in the town somehow, because I know that he'll stay involved. And we wish him all the best.
Hear, hear.
And congratulations to Jared Taylor for his win as, and I look forward to meeting him sometime in the future. I haven't met him yet.
Great. Moving on, obviously our...
Should I say it? And currently, right now, Commissioner Steiger is leading to be the third member of the Higley School District School Board. We don't know the final results yet, as everything hasn't been tallied. But currently, right now, he is in that race. So we'll see how that all washes out.
Dealing with the Arizona version of hanging Chad called provisional ballots.
I'd also like to welcome a new commissioner here this evening. I think this is his first meeting with us. He was sworn in last month, Christopher Stipple. So we welcome you. You're going to make a great addition to the commission here.
Thank you.
Obviously, our council liaison isn't here this evening, so we won't have a report from him. And finally, on our agenda, report from the Planning and Development Services Manager on current events.
Yes, we will miss John. He's been fantastic for the commission and the town council, so when we get a chance to see him personally, we'll thank him. And welcome, Chris. John would probably remind you of the Veterans Day ceremony. There's several. Look at our calendar on our website, November 8th and 9th, here on the town lawn, and also other places in our community. Also, the Redevelopment Commission hearing, typically scheduled for November 21st, has been moved to November 14th, if anyone's listening in on that. And also, the town has scheduled the Nights of Lights here at the town lawn, November 30th from 6 to 8:30 p.m. It's a very festive event. Otherwise, no other comments.
Great, thank you very much. Well, with that, a motion to adjourn the Planning Commission meeting?
So moved.
All right, well, now we have unfinished business to take care of, so we will reconvene as the study session and move forward with item, I think, number 3 on the agenda is where we left off. And actually, I believe item number 3, 4, and 5 we were planning to hear together. Item 3 is Z1216, amending an ordinance 2338 and rezoning approximately 34 acres of real property generally located west of the southwest corner of Higley and Pecos Roads, and amending